Hi, it's Jo Martin here from Oneofmany, and if coaching women is something that you do, whether you are a coach and you run your own practice or you're the leader of a team and you have to do a lot of coaching inside of your work, let's talk about something that's really important when it comes to helping people to have changes stick, and that is needs. Now, you might have heard of this guy called Abraham Maslow, who came up with something that he called the hierarchy of needs. And you can see it here in this pyramid that we've got, where there were 5 levels of needs that he talks about. At the bottom being physiological needs, things that the body needs to survive: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction, so on. The next level up is safety needs: personal security, employment, resources, health, property, that kind of thing. Next level was love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, a sense of connection. 4th level was esteem, self-esteem, respect, status, recognition, strength, freedom. And then finally self-actualization, the desire to become the most that one can be. Now, Maslow's hierarchy has been talked about for many, many decades, and it really does help us a lot in thinking about, community-wide needs and things. But in my experience coaching women, it's not so helpful because it's quite complex, and at an individual level, the levels tend to break down. We can all think of examples and stories that we've heard where an individual has put, for instance, love and belonging, their family and friendships, over basic safety needs, or over even physiological needs. We can think of situations where people might be in a war situation and their whole structure and hierarchy would change. So it's one of those things which is interesting from a theoretical perspective, but when it comes to actually coaching individuals, we need to focus in on individual needs. Now, we have a distinction here which is really important and a great coaching tool around those things which a woman would call her needs compared to those things which we would classify as desires. Now, if we look at the etymology of the word needs, it comes from sort of the old West Saxon, and it has undertones of hardship or distress or pain underneath it. So I like to think about those things that we call needs as those things without which we experience hardship, distress, pain. We just feel pretty rubbish. So if you think about it, decent amounts of food, decent amounts of decent quality food is a basic human need, which every person you coach would require. You know what you're like. If imagine you skip breakfast and then you skip lunch and you're surviving on caffeine all day, and then at 4 p.m. you start bitching and snapping people's heads off in the office. Why? You didn't meet your basic physiological need for decent food during the day, right? So there's that piece. But then there are also individuals who, in order for them to be okay, to not be in hardship or pain or distress, they might have a need for body work, massage once a month. If they don't get their massage, their back goes out and their back gets in pain. And then again, they get into martyr, or they get into a bitchy mode or whatever it is, because they're in pain, they're in physical pain. Some people have need for affection, like, there's quite a bit of research around about how many hugs a human being needs in any given day. So there's a really good argument for having a look at helping someone to identify what are their needs as an individual. What are those things which they require to get to okay, as opposed to those things which are actually desires. Now, a lot of people would say, a great example I use on this one is chocolate. Some people say that they need chocolate, but actually they probably don't. Chocolate is a desire. Now, before you take me to task on this, let me explain. So imagine for a second that it's that day that we told about. You skipped lunch, you skipped breakfast, you skipped lunch, you get to 4 p.m. and you're starving. So you go to the fridge and there's a Snickers in there and you scoff the whole thing down because your blood sugar is low. What you needed was some good nutritious food to reestablish equilibrium. But what you went for was something which is a desire, full of sugar, a little bit of something which can enhance your life if done in moderation. But when we try and fill up our needs with these things called desires, things like chocolate, wine, relationships sometimes, Netflix, things which, if we're if we've had a nourishing meal, if we've had, plenty of water to drink that day, if we've had some movement, some exercise, our body's feeling good, you have a little piece of chocolate, you can go to the fridge, you can have 2 squares of lovely dark chocolate and you feel great about life. You can go to the fridge and pour yourself a nice glass of wine and you feel great about life. If we try, to the extent that we try and fill up not full needs buckets with desires, that's where we get really bad habits. So this is one of the key tools that we work with here at Oneofmany, is helping women to identify what are their basic needs and how do we get them to fulfill those on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. One of the things we've identified is that if a woman first replenishes her energy and takes care of her needs, so many of the challenges that she faces in any given day go away. You'd be surprised. Things like overwhelm, relationship challenges, parenting issues. If a woman puts her own needs first, miracles happen. I kid you not. So my question for you is, in your coaching, or if you help people just by chatting to them as friends or at work, how often do you ask them to stop and look at, are they taking care of their needs? Have you had that conversation with people? Do you notice this in your own practice? Please do share in the comment section. If this has been useful for you, please do share the video with those people that you know, and like it if you'd like to hear more. See you soon.